Hello viewers, this is Thesis Consult. In this short video, we are going to learn a lot about thesis. You've noticed that students most often find it difficult to write their thesis. Most don't know where to start, how to start, and when and how to end. So we decided to create a channel so that we can share our experience over the years with students so that in their course of writing their project they can find it easily. To begin with, let us try to briefly define what thesis is. Thesis is a research document that a student presents at the end of their study program before graduation. This is self-explanatory and it doesn't demand any further interpretation. On the other side, if a student would like to write his project, he needs to understand some basic principles or basic facts. One, thesis is written in stages, usually from chapter 1 to 5. It may exceed 5 depending on the academic level of the student. Most PhD students exceed chapter 5, even up to 10. Another important principle is each of these stages require some specific component or information. For example, the required information to capture in the background of the study is dissimilar to rationale and problem statement. What we actually mean is with every stage of the thesis, specific informations are required, and these informations are not the same. Though we expect that there is going to be a coherency or correlation between the previous stage and the subsequent stage. So this is a brief introduction that I want students to remember always if they want to really start their thesis and pass through so easily. In this session, we are going to discuss how a student is supposed to select a suitable topic. And according to Amanda, she said that for a student to begin writing his thesis, he needs to understand that there are two broad categories. The first one is basic research. You may label it as a fundamental or a pure research. This type of research aims at understanding or describing a phenomenon, answering questions, or making predictions. This is often a social science research. An example could be an adoption of social marketing, effect of social marketing on farmers' performance. With such a topic, it's a basic research because we are only going to predict the relationship between two variables, whether adopting social media marketing strategy can actually influence either negatively or positively farmers' performance. Now we also look at applied research. This research draws the findings from basic research that leads to direct practical applications in the world. Specifically, this provides solution that changes the world. What this simply means is we derive the findings from the basic research, use the findings from the basic research and apply it in a different way so that certain problems we are encountering in this world can be solved. These are the major categories of research. And again, for a student to choose a suitable topic, he needs to follow or understand certain principles. Students most often make some mistakes by choosing topics. Some are broad, some are too narrow, some outside their scope, outside their capability, outside their reach. So it's also important that you understand some principles when you want to choose a suitable topic. The first one is the topic should reflect your previous studies and experience. Two, it should be related to your completed courses, your other research, and your political, cultural, or religious experiences. Example could be assuming you are a PhD student and you want to conduct your research, that is your thesis. You can reflect on previous thesis you did, perhaps at the undergraduate or at the master's level. So if you dealt with agriculture, it could be better you go circumvent around agriculture. That would be the best way for you, because in such cases you have the background knowledge, you have the background experience, so you wouldn't suffer much than to enter a new discipline. That would be better for you if you can develop your topic from the previous courses or previous research paper. Another point is the necessary source should be readily available, accessible. You should be near enough to the sources for convenient access. If you want to do a research, uh, you need to consider the source of data. More importantly, when you are dealing with the primary research, let's assume that you want to look at, want to research about narcotic drugs, something like cocaine. You need to ask yourself, will you get information from cocaine dealers? Will you get information from narcotic agencies? Because these cases are very sensitive. So you need to ask yourself, how convenient will I have access to such data? Then another point, you should have the ability, experience, and a background knowledge needed to understand the sources. It's like the previous point that we just discussed. You need to have knowledge, experience. You need to assess your capability, whether you can really conduct the research, the topic that you have chosen. You need to factor all these things before you proceed. Another one is you should have some experience with the methodological framework that you use in the thesis. This is very, very, very crucial. The reason is thesis is systematic. We need to plan. You need to know which framework, which methodology are you going to adopt before you even start. Because every topic that you choose will requires a specific methodology. So you need to take into account all of these factors. For example, if your thesis topic requires you to assess public policy and grassroots development, you should be versed in theories relating to politics and governance. I hope this one is very clear. So in summary, I would say choose a topic you'll be able to write about. Some additional factors you also need to consider are you capable, or are you interested in conducting quantitative, qualitative, and mixed method? These traditional research approaches will be discussed in detail as our study continues. Now, let's look at a practical example. This course is going to be more of experiment or practicals. The theory won't help much. So, let's say you are interested in agricultural studies. Um, you are into agriculture. You are a student of agriculture. As we discussed earlier, it will be very relevant to look around issues in agriculture. In this case, you can consider the current happenings, trend, problems that needs attention. Yeah, it is obvious. In as much as you are within the discipline, you are within the environment, you are within the agriculture, you can easily pinpoint or identify areas that needs attention. I hope you will understand it. Than to go outside this scope and trying to identify any problem, that will be very challenging for you. So we always suggest, scholars always suggest that you look or you pick topics within your area. That will be very, very better. And now let's look at another typical example. Assuming you have noticed farmers face post-harvest losses in your area, you can develop a topic to address the issue, but you will need to assess the literature to identify the knowledge gap. Now, let's look at this post-harvest losses. This you are in agriculture business or a student of agriculture, and you have found out that farmers are facing post-harvest losses. Let's say 30% of their produce go bad. So you want to conduct a research to make some propositions on how these issues can be addressed. You may talk about setting up a refrigeration or any plant that will help store the yam tubers. That is one. You can also look at any other means like broaden their marketing base so that they'll get more new customers. So there are several ways that you can develop a topic around this. But uh, like I added this one, before you choose the topic, you must consider something we call the knowledge gap. You need to find out whether the area or the topic you have chosen, there are some areas that have not been researched, that the knowledge gap, so that you can also contribute new knowledge. Yeah, this is because research needs to solve a problem, and if this problem have already been solved, then there's no need to conduct the research. So duplication is not the best, it's not always advice. So at this point, I'm sure we have understood what is meant by thesis, what you need to understand when you want to start a thesis, how to choose a suitable topic so that you can easily complete your thesis. In the next video that I'll do, you look at a practical example of the protocols of the thesis. That is from chapter 1 to chapter 5. We are going to discuss in detail all the thesis, the components of the thesis, the stages of the thesis. We are going to discuss them in detail. It's going to be more of practical so that you can quickly grasp the understanding, so that you can also write a thesis without so much problem. So if you are if you found this video or this education very interesting and beneficial, I suggest that you like our YouTube, uh, and also click on the bell so that anytime we post videos, you can quickly come and learn something out of it. Thank you all for viewing or listening to such a wonderful discussion. Thank you.